Hello, namaste. This is Tim Halloran. I'm an astrologer here in Savannah, Georgia. This is a weekly astrological forecast. I put these videos on YouTube once a week, and you can help support future videos by purchasing a reading from me at the link below. So we're into our final week of February already. It is Wednesday the 25th, and the energy is intense, dynamic, and very chaotic all over the place. I mean, what is going on? Who am I? Where am I? I mean, just what is going on is personally how I feel kind of sitting in this energy. Yes, as today we have the sun forming a conjunction with Neptune that will be exact at midnight. And we can kind of feel like our own identity, our own ego is starting to kind of melt into this amorphous, androgynous, blowing all over the place. And what is going on in the midst of all this, yes? Because this is a considerably profound moon cycle that we're in. This is a moon cycle, as we talked about last week, of uniting our deepest spiritual truths, who we are in our natural, naked self, with our body, with our role, with our duty, with our service, with our job and our work, in this world, in this three-dimensional world. And it can seem like there can be a huge gap that we are being called to bridge, and all of these challenges can be coming up in the midst. And you know, I gotta say that this is just one of these times where we kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt and almost not take it overly seriously. Yeah, because we can just be moving all over the place, unexpected things, unexpected directions. I mean, it's very difficult to plan. It's very difficult to remain in this structure of who we are and what we are doing as we are in the midst of this birthing process. And we can feel this birthing happening. And you know, I'm never going to physically experience in this life, but I got to imagine that birthing has to be this really kind of overwhelming, confusing, and yet very direct. Oh, there is a baby coming. Things are moving forward. What's going on in my mind? Who knows? All this chaos, all this stuff coming left and right. But there's one objective, one way forward. Who knows how it's going to happen? Hopefully nature's just going to take care of itself. Yeah, and we can actually be carried forward and come out on the other end of the wormhole in one piece. And this does feel like a trust fall. This is a leap of faith. And we are being called to kind of just see where we're being taken and not beat ourselves up too badly along the way. Well, let's talk about the astrological weather. Where are we coming from? Where are we going in terms of the heavens? Well, we came out of one hell of a fiery weekend, yeah. We had Mars conjunct Venus in Aries, Moon in Aries. I mean, there's just so much going on that is so dynamic, so action-adventure. And we still have this fiery energy. Now we have a grand trine in fire between that Mars, Venus, Saturn, and asteroid Juno. I mean, we want to adventure. We want to be ourselves. We want to implement the new us. We want to pioneer the new age. And there's just so much going on. I mean, this weekend was just crazy. It's like there were people coming in and out of my house for business, for leisure, for crisis. So we had all this Aries energy going on over the weekend. Then on Sunday, late Sunday, the moon moved into Taurus, kind of giving more of a practical sense. Monday, we had the sun square to Saturn. Now things are serious. Now we have to be practical. Now there's challenges. How does my perspective, how does my truth fit into what I am actually doing? Am I owning up? Am I being authentic? Is this real? Is this valid? And there can be some challenge, there can be some doubt. We may not feel like we're always heading in the right direction. We may have insecurities and fears call us back into the old. And you know, what we are being called to do is to form new rituals, new day-to-day ways of managing ourselves, new perspectives of how we can view these things in order to best harmoniously and naturally integrate all these things together. And what we're doing is we are seeking what our actual divine inherent work is. And that is, as we discussed last week, what comes most naturally and most flowing and most effortlessly to us. That is how we know that we are aligned in our work, our duty, our service, and simultaneously connected to spirit, inspired. And I use the example of the musician who sits down and does not think, oh, I'm going to use my diploma to create a great work of art. I'm going to do G flat, F, quarter note. No, you sit down and it's effortless. It flows out of us. That is how we know that that is our work. However, we're not exactly there yet because we come into a world, we come into an old paradigm where these things are not fluidly integrated at all. In fact, we come into a world where the established cultural norms are very, very unnatural, particularly to sensitive souls. I mean, this is just a very unnatural way of doing things. It's very forced. It's very rigid. It's fight for survival, yes? And someone brought up a very good point in my last video talking about how our work is to unite these two things. They said, what about all the waiters, the laundry cleaners? What about those people out there that essentially have jobs that is not exactly their spiritual work and all that? And that's a very good point, yeah? Because it brings up the cultural thing once again. I mean, the cultural thing is what we are here to change. The culture is not right. The culture has lots of problems, and we come into this culture to deal with those problems, to change them, yeah? And one of the biggest problems, I think, with people in the minimum wage, low-ranking jobs is not only the fact that they are oftentimes underpaid and therefore they are there out of reasons of insecurity and survival, but also disrespect. Our culture does not respect people who clean, who sweep, who cook food, who do the fast food thing. That's not having respect for our fellow human being. Saying, oh, that's a job that they didn't go to school or prestigious college for. That's not respectful. Because that person who is sweeping and cleaning, not only do they feel like they may not be making the money that they want, they don't feel good about the work that they are doing. It feels pointless. And that's a cultural thing. And that's unnatural. That's not true. If you are cooking, if you are cleaning, think about how powerful that is. All right, not only as spiritual beings do we come into this paradigm to clean up the energetic funk that this world is in, but you can physically do that. You can physically take up a broom and clean an area, and you are physically instilling a clean, higher vibrational energy into that place. And if you are spiritually conscious and aware, oh yeah, you can transform an area that way. And we disrespect that work, that is profound spiritual work that is going on. Same with cooking food. The energy that you are making into creating your food goes into that food. Why do you think we have this downward spiral in this country? Because everyone's so busy, you have to go get fast food that is produced by people that are basically violently disrespected and treated like slaves, that then put all that horrible negative energy into the already horrible and unhealthy food. It's a karmic package, yeah. But if we respected those people, they'd be putting good energy into the food. They'd feel good about what they're doing because there is a good purpose behind even the most mundane tasks. Cooking, cleaning, driving around, moving goods back and forth, yes. We all have these roles. We all have a room to clean. We all have little mundane things to attend to. Because we are such profoundly spiritual beings who are always thinking about the most inconceivable and far out things, it is easy for us to think that these little mundane, trivial things are not important. Or that, oh, these little trivial things are not related to my spiritual self, yes? And oftentimes, this can cause us to fragment, because there's a part of ourself that is getting stuck in the little trivial things. I am upset about this. I am frustrated. I am under time pressure. I do feel all this responsibility on my back. I do feel inferior sometimes. I feel like I can't keep up. But then we put all those little, oh, those are trivial little whines. I don't want to whine to anybody. I don't want to complain about the little trivial things. No, I'm a spiritual teacher, you know. Again, the demographic is this is who you guys are. This is what you're about. This is what you embody. So why would I want to, you know, pay attention to all these things? Because we're human beings. And we want to be authentic with all those things. If you think that that little trivial thing that's upsetting you is not relevant to the big spiritual picture that you're making, and that the big spiritual path that you're on, you're sadly mistaken. There is no, oh, well, there's my spiritual self and then there's the rest of life. That's kind of the illusion and the lesser important. No, no, no. You see, what has happened in the past paradigm is that was the spiritual perspective. And that is unnatural. It's unnatural. And that's what causes this tension and, oh my gosh, I have to operate in all this stuff that doesn't really matter. And then I feel frustrated because I'm not doing my real job, my real role, who I really am, in my full prestige, in my full enlightenment. Yeah. And so it can feel like, oh, this stuff is not what's important. And that's unnatural. That's unnatural. That's coming out of a paradigm that essentially forgotten about and disrespected the mother. The mother, yeah. And what I'm not saying is, oh, old paradigm religion only had pictures of father being God. The mother was left out. She's pissed off, and so she's raining down her judgment upon the world. No. The mother is the nurturing, compassionate force. Yes. Maternal, empathetic, embracing everything. Everybody is her children. Everybody gets forgiven. This is fundamentally what the mother is, okay? And this is what we have forgotten in past paradigms because it was all about what you could show, what you could attest for. What scripture have you read today? What quote can you recite? How many times did you go to church? What do you have to prove that you're successful? What do you have to prove that you have made it in the world? How can you prove to the world that you are a spiritual person? Well, you've got to smile, you've got to do perfect yoga moves. You can't pay attention to all the little trivial things because that would be telling the world that you're weak, that you are fallen, that you don't have your spiritual thing down. No. That is not true. We are human beings. We have come here to share the whole experience. And if we want to bridge the spiritual with the mundane, you can't cast out the mundane. So we are looking to bridge these things together. And that's challenging. That's inherently challenging, yes. And I gotta say, we need to have a lot of respect for ourselves. Because it's the culture that says, if you don't have this done on a specific day, you're a failure. If you don't have the work to the boss on a specific day, you're a failure. You're failing your job, therefore you're failing your family. You're not operating as a functioning human being. And I am sitting here and I can't believe there's so many functioning human beings out there. I mean, how does everybody do it? How does everybody bust ass so much all the time? I can't believe it. I mean, it's just so foreign to me because I just get blown all over the place. I didn't have a choice. I had to either become an artist or a musician or some shit, because I can't do that stuff. So good for you if you can. But don't beat the shit out of yourself if you find you can't. Once or twice or a couple times in the midst of this highly chaotic, transforming energy. So we need to have respect for ourselves. We need to have respect for the process that we're going through, and we need to understand that we are birthing a new way that is going to better allow for these things to be integrated together. And this is difficult because it's difficult to know that if we are in an environment, if we're in a job, if we're in a situation that is completely unnatural to us and everything is forced, everything is mechanical, everything makes us feel like we're constantly inferior, we always have to be doing more, it's not really who we are, this is not making me feel good, I'm doing it for reasons because I have to, because I'm expected to. Well, that does need to change. We do need to do the work to push this society and culture forward, and that means that we do have to take things in our own hands. If we disappoint the boss or the job or the teacher or something, and there is a cultural expectation on us that that's not right, we need to give ourselves permission that it is okay. It is okay to be flexible. It is okay to have respect for your own inherent personality. It is okay to have your own weather, to have your own cycles. I mean, God knows, all women on this planet really do have these emotional cycles, and so many of them are conditioned and taught by this culture and this world to ignore their own emotions and their own feelings in order to hold a job, in order to blah, 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 blah. And we can't wait for the world to make room for us to be more natural. We have to carve a way to become more natural, to live in a more natural world. That means that we have to open up and confess this stuff. It means we do have to say, oh, you know what? I do have a cycle. I'm on my period. I feel like shit today. Not, I'm going to shove this stuff down, be the perfect spiritual person that I am, and do my perfect yoga moves. That way everybody knows that I'm in charge and everybody has a role model to look up to. You know what is a better role model than being the quote-unquote perfect person, which is, by the way, inauthentic? And real sensitive beings will pick up on that. Oh, that's inauthentic. Look at them shove away all of their stuff and try to be perfect. Not really going to pay attention to them. The real way to be a role model is to give permission to your total authenticity. And to give permission to be totally authentic means that you are allowing your most natural, automatic, effortless personality to be expressed, to be known, to give permission to embody this personality, okay? So we can't fake this stuff forever. We can't force this stuff forever. And a lot of these challenges are taking us forward into better allowing these things to come together, which sometimes means forcedness turns into a breakdown, into a disintegration, into a falling down. And we need to understand that this disintegration and breakdown is not us failing. It is the old, unnatural walls that have kept us imprisoned and uncomfortable falling away. This is not you failing. This is you growing. This is you evolving. And if we so long keep beating ourselves up and holding ourselves down by the old paradigm, cultural expectations of our parents, of our principals, of our school teachers, of our bosses, we will never align with our most natural being and incorporate that into this world. We will continue to be bipolar, back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes when I'm in front of my class, when I'm doing a video, oh, okay, then I'm a spiritual person. What if I just like went home and I was just like a workaholic? I just did this completely different thing that was not aligned with what I'm doing now. It would come off very, very different, wouldn't it? Yes? And this very inspirational teacher to me, Matt Kahn, put out a video last week, and he said what he said was one of the most profound secrets that he learned becoming a fully enlightened, really, teacher. And what he said is, you have to integrate, for those of us who are, on a spiritual path, that means that we have the intention, the passion, the heartfelt desire to reach other souls, to uplift this world from the suffering and the horrors that are here, okay? That's what we want to do. That means that we have to integrate that desire and that passion with the rest of our life. We have to make sure that that is what we are actively doing all the time. We can't have this bipolar back and forth reality if we're truly going to be productive spiritual beings. And it's not just about, oh, I go to church, therefore I'm safe. Oh, I follow this religion, there I'm safe. Oh, I have this spiritual ideal or belief, therefore I'm safe. No, that's not what we're here to do. That's shallow, that's looking after yourself. We're here to uplift this world, to change this paradigm into the world that it should be. The Garden of Eden that it should be. We should be the godly spiritual beings that we should be, which means just to be a human being. That's the work that we are putting effort into doing. That's why all this chaos, all this tumultuous, all this tension, all the feelings of I'm failing. This is our duty and our service to the world as we are moving through old paradigm insecurities to bring a much more natural world into existence. And the way Matt Kahn says this is, if you're a healer, if it's even through talking, through preaching, if you do some kind of club, some kind of book sharing, whatever it is that is your spiritual service, whatever wisdom you are offering in the world, needs to be integrated with the rest of your life. Because what he says is what happens during the healing sessions or the exchange of information, what happens during those sessions is a reflection of what's going on in your life when you're not in session, when you're not in front of a classroom, when you're not preaching or doing your spiritual thing. Your healing, your capability to reach and touch other people is a reflection of your life when you're not around other people and you're not in that position. We have to integrate and include all the different bits and pieces of our life with our inherent spiritual loving nature. Every tiny little bit and piece. That means that, say for example, we are in a position where we have no money and we have to work a job sweeping. This is a choiceless situation, okay? It's not saying you're failing, oh, you're messing up, you're not being some huge spiritual teacher and getting paid, therefore you're a failure. No, but you have to integrate what you're doing with your spiritual self, or else you will feel like I have no purpose, what I'm doing is mundane, what I'm doing is stupid. And that's what the culture will train us. Oh, you're being a sweeper, you deserve disrespect because you're doing a job that anyone could do, you didn't go to school, you're a failure. That's what the cultural collective energy will put onto you, and you can't allow that to smush you. You can't allow that to strip from you your own inherent nature. So we have to integrate sweeping with our spiritual process. Even if that means saying, I come here to be a cleaner of lower vibrational, ignorant mentalities. I come here to spread high vibrational, loving, compassion and empathy and nurturance. And I am doing that by sweeping this area. I am cleaning out the old ignorance, the old clutter, because that is bridging the gap. And therefore you are taking your quote-unquote mundane and pointless job and you are turning that into medicine. You are turning that into alchemy. You are turning that into magic. And we can do that with absolutely every tiny little mundane thing in our life. Profane or not, mundane or not, attractive or not. That's why as spiritual teachers and leaders, we have to be totally open and accepted of 100% of who we are, because there is good reason and we are totally capable of taking every tiny little thing and turning it into a spiritual unfolding, a spiritual lesson, and therefore proving to ourselves that everything is a spiritual lesson and unfolding by practically and existentially doing it. Prove to yourself that you live in a spiritual reality by making all of your reality spiritual. You want to prove to yourself you live in a spiritual reality? You can. You can. Then it's no longer about what books you've read, what teachers you follow. You are existing in a reality that is proving your deepest perspective, your ideals, your spiritual understanding. We want to unite our beliefs with our tangible existing reality. And we want to know why all this is so chaotic and all this is so crazy right now. It's because that is the paradigm that we are birthing. And we have a lot of fears, insecurities, doubts to remove from the past, from the old paradigm. Don't take it personally. It's not your fault that we got conditioned into a culture that is rather unnatural, that doesn't understand our nature. Don't take that personally. But that is our work, that is our job that we are doing to bring us into and birth this new paradigm that is going to be aligned with our deeper, inherent, natural, flowing nature. Okay? So we really have to kind of take things with a grain of salt, be a little easy on ourselves, not take things too seriously. Friday morning, the moon's going to move into Cancer. This weekend we have a Cancer moon. It's an excellent time to kind of hone things in on yourself, reflect on everything that's going on, nurture yourself, pamper yourself with everything that's going on. And then on Sunday, Mercury is going to move into opposition with Jupiter. An opportunity to express, talk with those that are most intimate with you, your friends, your family, your lovers. This is the opportunity to open up and discuss what all these changes are that are going on, to open up and be completely 100% open with all of yourself, to be authentic with everything, even the mundane, trivial things. Open up in a safe place, communicate, express, because what we're doing is we are conversing with each other, the changes that are going on, and we are starting to see the new identity, the new perspectives, the new ontology, the new way that we are existing within life and seeing life. We are starting to communicate with one another where these changes are taking us, yes? And it's very important to continue to bounce these ideas and these changes off of one another, because this is something that we are doing collectively. And it's my pleasure and a joy for me to open up and share all of my stuff with you, including all of my trivialities and mundane things, because I understand that this is something universal that we're going through together. We are going through this together. It's a shared experience. We don't have to feel bad or beat ourselves up about anything. We can see everything as a spiritual opportunity to grow, to learn, and evolve. So, all the best to all of us in this collective endeavor. I can take a look at your individual charts to see how you are individually moving through this process. What individual and unique services, gifts, capabilities you have, and where we are evolutionary coming from, and where we are evolutionary going as an individual that is a part of this evolutionary movement that we are coming from and going to, that is taking us into a world that is more truthful and wholesome with our total naked self. Natural, free, no need to judge, no need to criticize, no need to shred apart or beat ourselves up anymore with who we are, with who we were made to be. Okay? No mistakes, only lessons, only opportunities to grow from here on out. So I'm wishing you the very best to you and your beloveds in this endeavor. Namaste.